Good afternoon. Welcome to the Cowlick Combs YouTube channel. I'm in my hometown of Miramichi, New Brunswick. This is what I see when I walk off of my old childhood home. I've been driving the car on the darker one. That's a community center over there. There's a ball field through there. It's a very small community that I grew up in, Logieville, part of on the Miramichi River. And it was kind of a rich childhood, as you see that yards are not fenced off. And as kids, I was kind of the last group of kids that, the school, there was a elementary school in town, and I was like one of the last where there was kids running around these neighborhoods. We were playing hide and go seek, whatnot. If you just go past that white trailer right there, that's where the big river is, and it stretches out into the bay in that area, and that's north and east. And if you go that way south, you're gonna run into some forest, which is about 2 minutes walking. So we grew up in a place where we had a river with lots of action going on it, and some wooded area, natural animals and forest habitat, etc. That's where my childhood rink was. Horseshoes now get played there. And I'm out to the local historian, Uncle Roger, and we are going to be sitting down for episode 2 of our little YouTube project. I'm inside Raj's kitchen. There's no lights on, but you can see documenting. There's always notes, there's always photos going on. Raj is busy downstairs, he's getting ready. And then, always notes, always documenting, and it goes on and on and on. I think he's already got a box picked out for today. Oh, that's Winnie. Winnie would be Amanda's dog, Roger's daughter. Hey, Winnie. Good afternoon, Raj.
Howdy.
How's it going? Little fire going?
Oh yeah, we gotta warm it up.
Right on.
I'm just gonna pick the rain up off.
Oh yeah, okay. So we're filming right now. It's February 26, 2024. We, after that first little video that Raj and I made, it worked out pretty good. We're going to continue with our project. For those of you, I'll keep introducing. This is my Uncle Raj. He's my dad's brother. He was always a hero to me in many ways. Like there's a magic. So over the course of the episodes, we're going to explore some of that. We can't all do everything in one day, but this project, Roger has documented years and years and years and decades of Miramichi and local history through some newspaper clippings, things that were of interest to him. He made a series of boxes out of sheet metal that fits the newspapers in perfectly, and he can just pull them out of his filing cabinet. So we're going to go through some today, and it's like what I wanted to talk about. This is I work in Vancouver oftentimes as an artist in a creative way, and so I think about concepts all the time. And what I think that is happening here is like Roger and I are doing a project. We're doing it together. We're not doing it for anybody else here. We're putting it out to YouTube because we're going to have some fun with it. And we're going to try to share something creative. But these sorts of things is part of the work that I do. And I want to help young people. So I work with young people oftentimes in a mentoring capacity. And my role is to show them how healthy it is to do creative projects that are functional, tangible to society, where oftentimes we're getting our hands busy. And this project, for instance, is actually going to, and I do that in a way that helps a person that might be not finding their direction in life. I know that very well. So this project in particular is, it's kind of therapeutic for me as I'm home in my hometown away from Vancouver after the passing of my father, and I'm spending some time looking into my roots and doing many other things. But doing projects like this is very healthy for mind, body, spirit, and that's one of the points that I wanted to bring up. Raj, how are you today?
Oh, very best. Everything's gonna take shape here in a minute.
Yeah. Okay, so history. Okay, so one of the things I sourced out a couple of I was asking actually Raj's son Josh if he had any idea for a good name for our little channel or our little project here. He came up with a couple. I was going back and forth. Last night as I was watching the Scotties Tournament of Hearts curling, the gold medal match, I thought of Mirami-histor-Chi. So that's what we're going to be working with starting right now, and if that evolves and changes into something, I am totally open to that. So we're just having some fun here. I like the mouthful. I like it's not real smooth off the tongue. You got to think about it. The Mirami-histor-Chi. And before we get into that, even one more thing. I heard a young woman in my life, a young student, ask the question the other day about what can you do with a history degree? And it just so happens that Raj and I are kind of treating this little project as a bit of history in the Miramichi. So I was doing a little bit of research about why history is important today. Here's a quote. Without history, a society shares no common memory of where it has been, what its core values are, or what decisions the past account for present circumstances. This is another thing I try to cover in my work all the time in my readings is the importance of history, knowing the past, because all of a sudden things could be happening in your present day, which there's a lot of conflict in society. There's a division that has been bigger than I could ever remember, and it's very important to know your history. We study history not to be clever in another time, but to be wise always. The disadvantage of people not knowing the past is that they do not know the present. That comes from G.K. Chesterton. I like that thinker. And one more. Mankind are so much the same in all times and places that history informs us of nothing new or strange in this particular. Its chief use is only to discover the constant and universal principles of human nature. So it's very, very important to realize that you're not much different than those that came before us. We have the same tendencies, human nature, and it's important to know your history because then you can be conscious of trying to improve things that need improving. I'm trying to do that all the time myself. Okay, Roger pulled out the year 1983 today. We're doing 1983, folks, on the Miramichi.
So we're going to just explain how all these articles are stored. This here is material. It's flashing that you can buy at anywhere in the Miramichi, and it's just cut with a knife and use a bender to make the boxes 2 inches. And there's nothing in here that's folded. Everything's flat, and then you can put a full newspaper sheet in there without being folded. There's also a top that goes on it.
Yep. Well, and they're all labeled and stored in a cabinetry that I showed in video number 1. And this again, the credit has to be given to Uncle Raj here for taking the time to do this. Like seriously. I'm the guy that thought about this little idea, but this little idea doesn't happen unless we got a guy that is a long-standing member of a community that took it upon himself to document things. And as we mentioned before, our small towns across our great country and across the world seem to be kind of collapsing in, and then the same value systems and the same lifestyles are not like that anymore. So it's important to take a look back to see, where we come from and, where we're kind of going.
So basically, this is my major hobby. I'm a man of many hobbies, so this is my major one, and I just been doing it for years, and it's just a ritual.
And how many PhDs, how many years of school did you have to go? Like, what PhD did you get to do your history research?
I'll say I went to school for probably 14 years. After graduating off to Moncton, and the community college there, et cetera, et cetera.
But the point being is that these types of projects, you know, as times were very different, people took it upon themselves to actually do things, and doing it just for the value of themselves, not thinking about, oh my God, how am I going to make all this money? So that's what's been humbling me since I've been back, coming from the city into my small town again. I've been recognizing the humility of people and the ability for that people have in a small town, and are not looking for credit in particular. People are very, very capable with their hands, and it has been very humbling to me, actually, to be reminded of that. Okay, so we have from the Miramichi Leader, July 6, 1983, Bill Foran.
Has his barber shop in Chatham Head, and this is an indication where he's moving his business to McFarland's former McFarland store.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Bill Foran relocates his barbershop. So it's very important to honor our local citizens, and just like something simple as a local barber moving his shop gets some, and then, you know, it connects people. So that's cool.
Yeah. Well, I picked that out because Bill and his wife Judy were at the dance here on the weekend. So that's one reason why I had this right out there.
Well, that's cool. And that's another thing we'll get into, is the man of many talents. Roger is an artist in many regards, and a performing artist, you know, a dancer. And now to this day he's going out to dances, and that's why he's vibrant in his mid-70s.
Okay, now we're going to go fishing.
Ooh.
This is, are you going to take that?
Yeah.
That's fishing out down in Carriquet. And John Kerr on the right over here.
Yeah, right there, yeah.
He was part of the crew on that ship. And apparently that was the first tuna caught on the Carriquet
Peninsula or whatever? Yeah. Oh, wow, look at the size of that tuna. So John Kerr, actually, at my father's, the reception following the funeral, John Kerr's wife was my grade one, all of our kids, all of their kids. Yeah. I'm one of those grade one teacher in our local school here. And she come up to me, she goes, "You remember me? Do you know who I am?" And I was like, I kind of knew, and she's like, "Grade one." And I was like, oh my God. So I gave her a big hug. So I kind of got emotional when she came up to me at that reception. So, and that's fishing tuna up in Carriquet.
So this is one of the rising stars that come out of Chatham here on the Leggett family.
Ooh, I'll just keep it like that.
He made his way down to the States there for baseball. And it's Rick, eh?
Yeah, Rick Leggett. Richard Leggett, yeah.
And you showed again, the lady beside him is the lady that he was about to marry. Plus, he has his own baseball card here.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's cool. And the Durham Bulls, which, by the way, is by chance the most famous minor league baseball team out there, due to the movie Bull Durham with Kevin Costner, Susan Sarandon, Tim Robbins. I think that was in the mid-'80s or whatever. It's a great baseball movie if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
Just one more thing. Roger goes over, as I was mentioning before, and he collects photos, and he's going to people's houses with albums and showing history. People are loving it. One of the things that he just dropped off to me since I've been home is called Hockey Dreams. And it's a memoir of a man who couldn't play, by our local writer, David Adams Richards. And I've always been intrigued by that man. And David Adams Richards is arguably the Miramichi's greatest ever artist that has ever come out of here. And since I've been home the last three months, I've gone through 5 of his books, including his most recent memoir just released. I thought it was brilliant, very deep, and he's a writer that is thinking deep into the human psyche, to the big picture. He knows his history, and I can't say enough how great of a writer he is.
Okay. Back in '83, Here's Kenneth Gaston, the son of Mo and Zelda Gaston, over in Douglastown, and he received a heart transplant.
Oh, wow.
So I can't talk about it anymore, but as far as I know, everything went good.
Yeah. Can you imagine now getting a heart transplant? So look at the array of little stories that we're able to show here. Okay, I saw this man at the gym, folks, last week. He asked me how my mother was doing following the death of my father. Walter McCarthy and, I don't know her name, sorry, but Bamford wed in Chatham, July 2nd. Mr. and Mrs. McCarthy. And that man, Walter, he was an athlete in town. His daughter actually helped as a nurse when we were going through our process over there. She was an extramural nurse, and she was quite lovely as she came in and helped our family out over the past couple of months.
So we can't escape the stork parade. And
The stork parade, babies.
so the ones I did cut out were folks that I've known in the Miramichi. So we'll start off with Reggie Flynn and his wife Pat had a son, 9 pounds. And up on the other side of the river, we had Brian Bowes, Mr. and Mrs. Brian Bowes of Chatham, a daughter, 8 pounds.
And I think that this is 83, so I think that's Christine.
Yeah, 83. And there's a few other names there, Nelson Miramichi, Frank Kirk, and Michael Carroll, and yeah, okay. That's we also have articles from the Stork Parade.
And it is important to go back to remember, because you know the generations that you've been around, Rod, you've seen things drastically change over the years, and now we're at a point in time in history where our communities are very, very differently connected, and these newspapers just show how much more intact things were, seemingly. Like, maybe I'm wrong about that, but I'll hold one up here from a childhood teammate, friend of mine, and I haven't seen him in many years, but you know, I was in contact with Lawson in my 20s. Now, Lawson was a goaltender, and he was Inuit, of Inuit heritage, and he came into our town. His father was from here, and he played sports. Peter McDonald, and Lawson was a very good athlete as a youngster coming up through our system here. He was in baseball. He was really good when in those earlier years there, and then as a goaltender, he went on to play a little bit of junior hockey. He played the local AAA, but this was a feature documentary that was done on him as an Inuit goaltender. It was a 20-minute feature out of I don't have time to read through to see exactly where it was, but Lawson was a great guy. He's very humorous. I often say many things, his jokes to this day, and so that's cool to see that.
Anyways, sticking sports, a little article here on let's say organizers are special people, keep the sports on the move. We have a great shot here of how muscular Stephen Hickbert is here when they're dishing out some of the prize awards for the winners in the slow pitch league in Chatham. That was well supported by Moosehead Breweries with Joe Richard here.
That's cool.
Joe Richard here to help out with the trophies there. So there's always articles on the sports scene here in the Miramichi.
Well, that's cool. I'm going to make a correction. And I should have known this. We're doing 1983 today. That's the box that we pulled out. This is actually from 93, so there was just a little bit of mistake on the date here. This film was done on Lawson McDonald in 93.
Yeah. Now, one of the renowned buildings in Chatham, the Miramichi Exhibition Building, very popular for years, and held lots of dances on the weekends, and of course the exhibition every year, and multiple other events. So that is quite a nice structure for the city.
And then that was the building that burned down.
Yeah.
That was a cool building. I remember there was a little balcony up there, and you could. a little balcony. Okay, here's one here, folks. Of
Ann Bracken.
yeah.
It's the president of the Chatham Lions Club, and that's welcoming some new members.
Roger can read the thing as I hold this up.
Yeah, so these new members here consist of Linda Jardine, Vita Daigle, Gloria Parnell, and Carolyn Cormier. And then in back is Lila Berry, Mary Atkinson, Cheryl Mather, Rachel Robichaud, and Wendy Logie from Logieville.
Right on.
Yeah. And we're not going to forget what the big event was on that year here. It was the major...
Pope John Paul II. He did a mass in Moncton, was it?
Yeah, that's a papal visit, yeah.
Yeah, he did a in '83. This was a big event here in this part of the world. Like, how many people would have attended that?
Oh, the field was just full of people.
Yeah, just full of people.
Everywhere. And a lot of Miramichiers made it up there.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. And, Pope John Paul II. Wow.
Well, this here, the sporting event that was a big disappointment here for our area was the horse races that took place.
Maybe I can hold it.
And then,
can you tell us something about the horse races?
Well, I really can't say too much about it, except
Okay.
this here is focusing on getting ready for a race in 1983.
Yeah, this photo shows part of the crowd of nearly 2,000 which viewed the races on July 1st, 1982. Preparations are being made for the 1983 racing season at the Exhibition Raceway in Chatham. God, I'd say that I don't even like in the 90s. I don't really remember that stuff going on as a kid so much, but perhaps it did. Wow.
Well, somewhere in my collection and through the years, I probably have when it terminated the races and when it closed down.
I'm sure you do.
Okay, I'm gonna let you handle this here.
Okay.
Exhibition game.
Okay.
And them and their farm team.
Okay. 1983, the Edmonton Oilers. Friday, September 23rd, 1983. Moncton used to house the farm team of the Oilers, part of the Oilers, and they were called the Alpines at the time, Moncton Alpines. This brochure actually cost 50 cents. Coke was the advertisement on the back. Souvenir program, and I know you're dying to know who was in net for the Moncton Alpines that game. No, you're dying to know who was on the Oilers, and I'm going to go through that little... Grant Fuhrer, Andy Moog, Lee Fogelin, Kevin Lowe, Jim Playfair, Jeff Bukaboom, Paul Coffey, Tom Rowe, Glenn Anderson, also a Hall of Famer, along with Kevin Lowe, Grant Fuhrer, and Paul Coffey, who I just mentioned. Yaroslav Puzar, don't know him. Messier was a Hall of Famer. Dave Hunter, Kenny Linsman, they called him the Rat. Ray Cote, Pat Hughes, Yuri Curry. My good friend Kenny Blackhair used to call him Jerry Curry. Also a Hall of Famer. Ken Barry, Willie Lindstrom, Dave Lumley, Randy Gregg, Charlie Huddy, Mark Habscheid, Tom Rolston, Dave Semenko, Don Jackson, Todd Bidner, Pat Conacher, and of course, Wayne Gretzky. But if I look at the Moncton Alpines roster, a local boy, ladies and gentlemen, number 4, Lowell Loveday, a really excellent defenseman that came out of our system here and played some high senior hockey when it got really exciting with the Miramichi Gagnon Packers. I think he was the top player, like he was a captain. He was one of their best players, eh?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I know we're this ain't the year of '83, but I'm gonna show maybe a program that this guy produced here in Logieville.
The King and His Court, Eddie Feiner, the guy right here, highly considered one of the greatest fast-pitch softball, and he'd go around touring the country and all these little things and play local teams with a 4-man unit. And he'd had Team USA stars and stuff like that, and there he is.
So he was here on his 44th tour.
Yep.
And
wow.
These are these are the notices that were put out around the community to let the public know if they want to come and see the action. Followed up by a story by Eddie St. Pierre. I have a lot of his collection.
Right, he was a sports writer out of Moncton, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you have anything else lined up over there? Is that kind of...
No, I thought this probably was going
That's perfect.
Just,
I like our time. We're at 22 minutes, 30 seconds. So, you know, there it is. We're figuring this out as we go. This is a project that is going to be good for us because it's easy for me. All I do is walk over here and Roger's got everything yanked out and he's the one that has everything documented and organized. But as we go through this, we're going to figure out our timing. I was at first thinking 15-minute videos. And again, we're not making these for you know, big audience or anything like that. We're just doing it for some fun for ourselves. So maybe a 30-minute kind of works. And it's really enjoyable and interesting to see what can be yanked up out of these newspaper clippings.
oh, surprising things will show up.
Oh yeah, and that's what it's gonna be. I just went through. I was over having a coffee this morning. I was going through my notes of things I wanted to talk about. The importance of a creative project that we're doing. Mirami-histor-Chi is what we're going to kind of call this tentatively. Why is history important? And okay, do you have your hockey pools documented? Like you used to organize and run some hockey pools at the mill. Do you have like that? Do you have those documented? Because one of these days we can have like a little. Hopefully we can just pull at least one of those out and go through.
those pools I had at the mill while I worked there, I built the trophies that were made for each sport, the hockey, baseball, and horseshoes.
And we're going to show those in the future.
Yeah.
And we're going to show, like, and you know, that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to, one of the things that I am liking that we're doing is we're showcasing creativity that's coming out of so many different places that you don't even know of. You know, this is just, if people drive by a house, you have no idea what's going on in the basement or what that person's actually doing. And again, the value of doing things, keeping yourself busy and having a really meaningful project, and you don't have to have it for anybody else except for kind of do it for yourself. And now here we are many years later after Raj is doing this, and we've found a way to kind of begin to share some of his past work. So I personally think that's a good place to sign off. What do you think, Raj? We'll try to come back at you guys tomorrow with another year.
Yeah, we'll try not to make this real repetitious there. We'll try to have a little mixture of other items at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you very much. And we also have to figure out who our sponsors are going to be, what kind of advertisements we're going to do. But okay, thank you very much. We'll talk to you guys again hopefully tomorrow.